all, I want to start off by, man, like, I know it wasn't just Lions fans, but look, to set the NFL record for attendance for the draft site, I mean, I've said all along that we have the best fans in the world, and I mean, the anticipation of having the draft here just meant so much. We talked about it, just being able to let the world and the NFL world get a taste of what Detroit's about and what this culture is about, and great for our city, great for our franchise, but that's something to be said. You get 700,000 fans at one draft host city. That's about as impressive as it gets. So just want to really thank the fans. Just want to really thank the league and the sports commission and everybody. Just everybody that played a part in this. But just really excited about this. Questions?
I want to ask you first about Giovanni. That's
Yeah.
not a guy you can miss when he walks into a room, but just the uniqueness of the scouting process with that. That's a different level of football.
Yeah.
It's a little trickier to find. So what is the challenges there in finding that guy, one, and then projecting him going
Yeah,
forward?
so that was it was a cool little story because John Dorsey, he kind of got wind of, he had a really good workout, and he kind of got on the workout circuit, and really starting back with a Demi Smith who scouted him, and then Dorsey finds out about the workout, and then Dorsey and Ray talk, and Ray comes to meet Ray Agnew, and then he's telling me like, man, I think you probably got to take a look at Giovanni here, and so. Then I watched the tape, and it's what it is. It's a low level competition. But when I watched the tape, the upside of the actual player. It's not about who he was going against and all that stuff. We just kind of got enamored with the upside, and then when we reached out to his agent and tried to get him in for a visit because he wasn't at the combine. We couldn't hardly get on the dance card. The whole dance card was filled up. So he came in on a Sunday, like a Sunday afternoon, and that was like visit number like 9, just like, and he came in and he did a great job and sat with the coaches, and we felt really good about him. We felt really good about his makeup. He's wired the right way. He's got a really cool story, and he's been through some things, but we were so blown away about just his makeup, his character, the way he's wired, and he's got a lot of upside. It's not a whole lot about right now with him. A lot like we talked about Broderick Martin last year. This is more of a down the road future deal. But the upside is enormous, and just really excited to work with him. And he just him and Vaki. Those were the guys that. Going to bed last night, I literally, going to bed, I was like, we're not trading we're not going to trade in the fourth. I was like, we're just going to sit back and wait. But when I woke up, that's when I was like, man, it's those two guys that if they don't make it, those are going to be some gut punches. And so when I finally got to the facility and I went to Dan and I said, Dan, dude, there's two guys and I told him the two guys, and Dan was like, those are the same two guys that I was thinking about this morning. And I was like, let's go get them. Like, let's not mess around. And again, you always get the answers to the test after you pick them. And if we would have waited around, then they weren't going to make it. So.
You talk about Backy, obviously a versatile guy, did a lot of stuff. We talked at the annual meetings about the special teams portion of it. How big of that is a part of his game, and just what did you guys like about his ability to be really a three-phase kind of guy?
Yeah, well, that's what first stood out is, we thought he was one of the better special teams players in this entire draft. All 4 phases of special teams, and especially with some of the changes that are coming about, he's really, he started even coming to life even more. And then even later on in the process, just sticking to the special teams component, it kind of came to life even more with some possible return value. You know, you're looking at him at 4 core and return units as more of a blocker, but he can actually, the stuff he can do with the ball in his hands. And so, you know, I first saw him when he had first made the switch, you know, when they got kind of short, you know, at running back there at Utah. And, you know, they just had him just fill in. But we were more so looking at him as a safety. But he looks so natural as a runner. And I was like, wait, where did these backyard instincts come from of him just running the ball and making these plays? And then not only is he's got these instincts that are just very natural that we thought, he's not even majoring in it. Like he just did that just because they kind of got shorthanded. And he's like, oh, you need down for running back? Oh, well, I'll help out. And then he starts making these plays, run the ball and in the passing game. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, he's not even majoring in this, and he's looking like that. And then you get more into his background, and, you know, he was more of an offensive player in high school. You know, he did a lot of things on offense. But it was very impressive what he did with the ball in his hands, and not just make miss and all that stuff. But I mean, he runs hard, man. Like he again, he's a football player that plays football like how we like it. And there's nothing about him that he doesn't have the ability to play safety, because he can do that too. And he was one of the guys that had one of the more impressive pro days, I thought, because he worked out as a DB, very long DB workout, and the DB workout was really good. And then he worked out as a running back. And then good running back. And then after the running back workout, then he works out a wide receiver. And then he does a wide receiver workout. Then he works out a special. And you see all that, and the guys, like, I mean, the fact to even go through all those different phases of that workout was impressive in itself. So just the love for him just kept growing. But he's a very unique player. Again, it's nothing saying that he cannot play safety, but our vision of what he can become as a runner, but it starts with those special teams.
Put him straight at running back. When it comes here, he'll just be doing running back stuff. He wouldn't do defense first. I mean,
we have some options there, but we know he can play safety. Like we know he can do that. But the vision is, you know, we're so intrigued by the running back stuff, and especially he hadn't been majoring in it. And so it's like, well, how far can this thing go if he actually is majoring in this thing in one room? So that's going to be the vision.
Back to the transfer, a quick sec. When you sort of hinted at it yesterday, right? Like it's tough to get up future assets, and obviously I think both these guys, like you have big visions for them down the road. Yeah. How soon do they have to get it, or what do they have to do to sort of make that worthwhile? That, like, you know, you're a little shorthanded, I guess, for next year. Or do you just kind of cross that bridge when it comes to the draft picks?
Well, I wouldn't say it's shorthanded. I think the only pick we don't have is a third-round pick. Is that right?
Yeah, right.
Would that be shorthanded if you're missing one third-round pick? Yeah. So I think I feel really good about, and we looked at that because I would have not thought that we'd have been able to trade twice into the fourth round. And when I looked at you look at all those things, it's like, okay, well, what's the future assets and all that stuff? And when we did all the calculations, I was like, wait, you can do, because we had the extra 4, and, you know, we had 3, and I was like, man, if you can do all this, and the only thing you really feel like you're losing is a future third, like, that's it, like, just go ahead and do it. And so we felt really good about that, and that's why we went ahead and did it. So you always get a better feeling that you can go and get your guys, and that's what we did, and we couldn't be more thrilled about it, and even what we still have left from a capital standpoint for the future.
Was you overall, though, with the draft, which I was able to add, you know, a lot of pieces, do you feel like you've got enough now to take you guys over that next step of the hump?
Yeah, you know, look, I was thinking about that this morning, Eric, about just a lot of these guys, where we're at as a roster, man, if they win a spot and play, then they play. If they don't, they don't. Like, I don't, you know, you look at the corners, like, yeah, we really like these corners. They're rookies. I don't know, they got to win a spot, you know, because Carlton Davis has been a proven starter. A healthy Emmanuel Mosley is a proven starter. Amik Robertson is a proven, like, these are good players that have been proven starters that's made play. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a given, you know, but they all want to play. They're all wired right. But Man, look, and it's good to be there from a roster standpoint. You get, if these corners they play, they got to win a spot, and that's for everybody. So it's it's a good feeling to be in a spot where we feel good about the depth we have, we feel good about the future we have, but man, those guys got to compete and win spots. But I know that we're a better football team now to take that step, like what you were talking about. But it's going to be really up to them now. We're going to do our part and make sure that they're surrounded with the resources to be set up for success with their development. But those guys got to compete.
Brad, do you have any insights on Christian Mahoney falling? It seems like he was somebody that was supposed to be drafted much higher. Like a lot of places had him as his third-round pick.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
was
feels like
I was shocked. I didn't think I didn't think he would still be there at that point. I can't really go into details. I could probably point out a thing here or there that may have been a reason that that we'll keep internally, but I saw there's other players that I probably would have had a lot more questions on, that went. So I don't know. I just know that he fits how we want to play, and yeah, he's a tough, physical. He's got some dirtbag in him, and he's just one of those tough Jersey kids that he doesn't take a lot of crap, and he's got some fun tape to watch, and he's gone against some good defensive linemen, and he's bode well versus them. So we were excited to get him.
Brad, your penchant for trading up, is that partly because you have a very specific vision of the type of players you want that maybe other teams don't have, and also because with your roster, you can be particular and specific and jump up and get somebody?
Yeah, it's a little mixture of both. It's me and Dan, we'll have the same vision of what we see with that player, whether it's, where their development, what stage that they might be able to contribute, what the usage will be, what the role will be. But once we're aligned there, it's just, man, let's just go get the guys that we want. And that's really what it comes down to. But also it comes down to, how many late round picks can you have that from where we are as a roster? You start looking around and you start looking at the board as well. You start looking at the board and it's like, man, these guys are just sticking out a little bit more than some other guys. They're on the board for a reason because you're comfortable with drafting those players. That's why they're up there, but some kind of stick out a little bit more than others. And so then you start looking back, it's like, well, you got 2 6s, you got a 7, and you start looking, you're like, it's going to be hard. It's like, yeah, you could get this wide receiver, but he doesn't play special teams, and so I don't really know how this is going to work because now he would have to really win a spot, but he's probably not. And some guys just it doesn't add up and just make a lot of sense. So, but we couldn't be more thrilled with the guys that we got.
Right, with Wingo, it's really obvious to see the football character aspect.
Yeah.
A guy that comes back from injury, very similar to what we saw reported last year. From an on-field skill set, what do you see there? Is there, is there an overlap with a player you've scouted or had before that can maybe help us understand what he's about a little bit more?
Yeah, I would say you're right on the football character aspect. This guy fits our culture like a glove. Great kid. Look, it's hard to don that number 18 at LSU. That just means something. But I think his character speaks for itself. He plays. His football character shows on film too, the way that he plays. But the role, and it's a good question because that's kind of what I had to get to. Was I originally looking at him as purely just a defensive tackle that was just going to be playing inside, and I was kind of, I was like, man, I'm not sure. But when I kept watching him, his rush ability really started to come to light, and I kind of put him in a different kind of box, a little bit like what we talked about Pascal when Pascal came out. These guys are just like, okay, can you play on the edge on first and second down, and can he do some inside rush? Wingo, he's he's got a lot of good stuff on tape as an edge rusher, actually, surprisingly. But his sub rush is pretty impressive. Not saying that he can't play base downs inside, because he can do that as well. But when you put him in that specialized category or that position, whether it's more of a big end or more of kind of an elephant that can do some interchangeable things, that's kind of where it's him. And when we saw him in that light, that's kind of when he became more attractive to us.
I think we're trying to keep it light a little bit. So I know y'all trying to keep it light a little bit. What was the idea with the jerseys this year?
Yeah, look, I'm not taking any credit for this one. This was, but I'm glad that the idea was brought up. But this was Rod Wood's idea for us to wear these jerseys, and I thought it looked awesome on television. I mean, just the text that I was getting and just me seeing, I was like, wow, that's even cooler than thought it was going to be. But it was Rod's idea, obviously, with the new blacks, and just the whole story. I'm sure you guys heard about Dan when he wanted the black jerseys back. So it all kind of came full circle. But I thought that was a good look.
Brad, you were talking about how you like your depth more now, and maybe your team overall more. The future, the teams in your division have some interesting young, promising talent too. Can you see a scenario in a year or two where this is one of the best divisions in the game?
I could see it heading that way for sure. I don't think it's hard to make an argument for it now. In terms of, I mean, those guys got some good players. And we got some good players too. So, but yeah, I mean. It's just going to be a good division. Obviously you kind of saw it last year, of some of the guys in the division, making some surges. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to expect everybody's best, whether it's in the division or outside. But, but we'll be ready.
Without revealing any names, you always talk about the board. How's the board set up? Is you have list 1 through 300, you just check them off, or do you have first round guys, second round guys? How does that work? Because the general public has no idea.
Yeah, I try to be as generalized as I can, but it is vertically by positions, and we're not big rounds. We have it set up in a way where it equates to a round. We just don't use the word round, just because when you start, and this is the same thing with our grading scale. We don't use rounds on our grading scale. Sometimes I might say we had a second round grade because that's kind of what makes sense. But the reason why we kind of stay away from the whole rounds thing is that when they become on your roster, they're either a role, they're either a starter, they're either backup. They're not a round anymore. It's not a 4th round receiver. It's not a 6th round safety. He's either backup or he's a high end backup or that's what it is. So, but yeah, it's vertically by position, from top to the bottom.
Is there a big gap between, again, just using terms that we would understand, first to second round, or that blue chip versus whatever the next tier is? How big is that, when you drop from one tier to the next?
Yeah, it's really more so the grade will reflect what the upside and the role is, and then that's where you kind of get the separation and gaps. And really, it's actually cool to look at it horizontally than it is to look at it vertically. You do so much work over the whole year. By the time you get around to March, you have a good feel of how it looks vertically. But sometimes you got to look at it horizontally with different positions. And then that's when you can truly kind of get a sense of, how good is this draft? How strong is this draft? We're looking at the whole thing on, I believe it was Monday, and you could clearly see, we have it split with offense and defense, and you could clearly see we had a whole lot more names on the offensive side of the ball than we had on the defensive side of the ball, and so that's when you kind of got clarity that, yeah, this is a offensively strong draft.
Horizontally, it's that starting line, and then that
Yeah,
next
so
line
if
down,
you
and
have, if you have everything stacked vertically by position, you got your running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Well, you got them vertically stacked, but also when you look at it next to other positions, so it's okay, what's this wide receiver that we got, in the same bucket as this guard? You know, what's this D tackle? You know, and then that's kind of get a good feel. That's one little tool. It's been good.
Really quickly, just before you go, you got 2 big extensions done this week. It just the timeliness of it was your first draft class. You know, what's their success is your success. What did it mean for the organization to extend Amon-Ra and Panay?
Oh, it meant everything. Look, first of all, I'm so happy for them. You know, those guys are truly our core. Those guys truly are our foundation. They were our first draft. But the main thing that I've been saying to everybody is that it represents not only a testament to all the hard work that they've done, but it's such a representation of who we are as an organization in terms of, man, they earn that. Like, they earn that. And we're all about earning it. We're not expecting a shortcut here or there. And, man, it's all the credit to them. But, yeah, extremely happy. But it's cool that, you know, both of those guys, look, it says a lot to who you extend. You know, it speaks not only to, you know, a lot of different areas, but, you know, it speaks to the locker room. And who you pay, who you draft, who you extend, who you know, like, and so I do think I kind of saw the clip of our other wide receivers, you know, celebrating, you know, St. Brown outside in front of the facility, and I just think that's really cool because, you know, I think that, you know, he's highly respected, and I think, you know, no one would argue that he has truly earned that. And the same thing with Panay. You know, I was talking to Panay, and after he got done signing his contract, it's like, man, it's like 3 years ago. You know, he was here with his parents. You know, we had just drafted him. He's here with his parents, and now he's got 2 kids running around and just signed this big. You know, he's the highest paid tackle. But no, those guys represent everything that we're about. They embody everything that we're about, and it was a no-brainer in terms of, you know, making the decision to do those extensions. Obviously, it's business that comes involved. We thought we were actually going to get it done a lot earlier, you know, but the business just kind of takes a little bit longer. But those are easy decisions. But happy for those guys.
So it wasn't purposeful to do it Thursday, huh? First day of the draft?
Huh?
I said it wasn't purposeful to do it Thursday then, first day of the draft?
No, it really wasn't. It's just we kind of got wind that that it was getting close. Was that? It was like Tuesday or Wednesday that we kind of got wind, like, you know, I think we're getting close. Like, I think it's a possibility that it could be Wednesday, you know, and so that's just kind of how it happened, but wasn't intentional. Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.